Lying on a bed and inhaling a form of gas, our male lead is thinking about his life. He is tired of the kind of life he lives, tormenting and killing people, doing drugs, sleeping around, tormenting and killing again. It has become tiring. Approaching him from the side, his friend Kim Soo-yeon is holding a birthday cake and wants to know if that is all he feels on his 280th birthday. Hwamyung ruffles his hair, desperate to know how other devils have managed to slog around, living this kind of boring life. Looking up at his friend, he tells him how envious he is of him. He considers him lucky because he will be able to die soon. Soo-yeon agrees with him, stating that it is because he is human. Hwamyung stares at him jealously. He hasn't felt his heartbeat for over 50 years now. With a sigh, he tells Soo-yeon how lucky he is to still have dopamine in his brain. Smiling, the human suggests that Hwamyung try something new. Our male lead, however, is confused. What new thing is there for a demon like him to try? He admits that he has done everything except save people's lives. Laughing, Soo-yeon tells him to try saving people's lives then. Hwamyung is stunned by this suggestion. Sitting comfortably on a train, Hwamyung is out to begin his new task of saving people's lives. He is convinced this will be no fun, but then staying at home would also be too boring for him. With that in mind, he begins looking for who to save. A cough from the side interrupts his search. He turns to look at the two elderly men standing before him who inform him the spot he is sitting on is for seniors. Of course, our 280-year-old male lead feels that he has every right to sit there and even offers to share with the old men. Consequently, the two men are squeezed into the corners by him. Feeling gossipy, he pulls them closer to him and tells them the train is full of malevolent spirits, even though they might not be able to see it. He tells them what this means. A disaster is about to happen. The two elders are shocked, one asking if he is a shaman. Suddenly, from behind, a guy runs up. He is yelling about how unfair life has been for him, declaring that he won't sit back quietly while he is being mistreated. Still murmuring about how cruel the world is to him, he grabs an oxygen mask and covers his face with it while pulling out a can of poisonous gas. He has made up his mind not to be the only one to suffer. Therefore, he immediately starts spraying the gas into the air, intending to kill everyone on the train. Chaos reigns as people begin to fall, the gas affecting them. Someone yells for everybody to move to the front carriage. Amidst the chaos of people rushing to leave with some not even knowing why they're running, a young lady is sitting calmly while pressing her phone. The killer is shocked to see such a peaceful scene and immediately pauses before the girl. Annoyed by her calm behavior, he locks the can and stops to speak to her, eager to know why she isn't running. He even bends over trying to catch her attention. However, he receives no response. Feeling offended by her disregard, the killer threatens her with death while considering reopening his can. Due to his insistence, our female lead finally acknowledges the man standing in front of her. She pauses her music and, taking the AirPods out of her ears, scolds the man for interrupting her. She wants to know the important thing he is trying to say. This causes the suicide killer so much rage, he raises the can to her face and orders her to die, spraying the gas directly at her. Kim Dokyung sits calmly, waiting for the gas to envelop her. However, it doesn't. Opening her eyes, she is shocked to see the gas disappearing from her side. Looking up, she sees the cause. A strange man is eagerly sucking the gas in through his mouth. Hwamyung is having fun swallowing up the poisonous substance with no care for the surprised people watching him. He takes the gas in until there is nothing left. The killer is terrified and scared, wondering who or what he is. He pulls out a knife ready to attack Hwamyung, but before he can do anything, he is grabbed and flung against the window. He hits the window hard and is stuck in it. Everyone is shocked to see this, but Hwamyung is dissatisfied. He doesn't feel anything even after saving these people. Shaking his head, he regrets listening to Soo-yeon's advice. Done with feeling pity for himself, he grabs Dokyung by the chin and squeezes her cheeks. Holding her face, he asks her how it feels like to be saved since he wants to satisfy his curiosity. He receives the greatest shock, however, when the lady calmly tells him she didn't want to be saved. Asking her to repeat herself, his shock triples when she grabs him by the chin also. Squeezing his cheeks together, she repeats that she never wanted to be saved. Instead, she had made up her mind and was planning on ending her life right there. She wanted to die, and so didn't need anyone to save her. With tears running down her face and snot dripping, she yells at him, asking why the heck he saved her. The day of the incident. On the train, Kim Dokyung is going through her messages. Each one contains bad news, so frustrated, she turns on her music player. As she listens to music, her thoughts wander to how she ended up in this situation. A year ago, our female lead sold her luck to a devil. Yes, she actually made a pact with an unknown devil. Because she sold her luck, what this means for her is an unlucky life. Getting into disastrous situations, being arrested for crimes which she didn't commit. Every possible bad thing happens to her. She has lost connections with all her friends while every economic decision she makes ends up in failure. In other words, Kim Dokyung has become miserably unhappy. Hearing screams coming from the other side of the train, she doesn't move. Thinking of how her life has become an endless abyss after losing a stroke of her luck, Kim Dokyung remains still when she sees the killer approaching with the poisonous gas. Instead, she shuts her eyes as thoughts of death fill her mind. Outside the train, the police are busy evacuating people from the scene. Soo-yeon, dressed in a police officer's uniform, is busy searching for Hwamyung. Looking around, he is stunned when he finally spots his friend. Hwamyung and Dokyung are still holding on to each other. With each squeezing harder on the other's face, they argue about who should let go first. Hwamyung is angry and scolds Dokyung for treating him like this even after all he did to save her. Dokyung, with tears and snot running down her face, isn't appreciative. She tells Hwamyung she didn't ask him to save her. Her house, bank account, and relationship are all gone. How is she supposed to survive? Disgusted by her tears, Hwamyung warns her not to get her snot on his hands. Watching the two argue like children, Soo-yeon is amused. He goes up to them, breaking apart their fight. Showing Dokyung his ID card, he informs her he is with the police and needs to bring Hwamyung away for further questioning. Hwamyung is reluctant to leave, asking his friend why he is here. Soo-yeon pushes him along, telling him they have to leave. He isn't the only one who saw Hwamyung inhaling gas, so they have to get out of there. Behind them, Dokyung is listening to their conversation. Hwamyung is offended and yells loudly, saying they should be thankful to him for inhaling that gas. Annoyed, he begins to spew fire, startling his friend who tries to calm him down. "Are you a devil?" The question comes from behind them. Shocked, the two men stop walking and turn back to look at Dokyung. She stands behind, examining the two of them. Looking at Hwamyung, she is certain she is right as she has seen his type before. Except they weren't this ugly. Wiping her tears, she points at Soo-yeon, asking him to admit he isn't a police officer. Nervous at being caught, the innocent Soo-yeon can only say yes. Dokyung wants to know what exactly they are doing. Are they messing with people's lives like some puppet master? With a hand on his head, Hwamyung isn't sure of what he is doing and pauses to think. Just for fun. I'm trying to save people, I guess? Is his final answer. He asks her if he isn't allowed to do so. Remembering her experience with the first demon who stole her luck, Dokyung is angry. She asks Hwamyung if he doesn't know that the humans they make a pact with are all living miserable lives. She recalls the appearance of the luck demon who, after stealing her luck, condemned her to a life of terrible misfortune. As she continues and persists, when no one wishes for her to be alive anymore, that is when she will die alone. Frustrated at seeing a demon mess around again, Dokyung tells Hwamyung that she won't ask him to save her, but he shouldn't show up in front of her anymore. Watching her go, Hwamyung touches his chest. Unexpectedly, that hurt. Soo-yeon can't help but worry about her since she is so precarious. He is worried she will get into trouble. Hwamyung doesn't care and tells him to leave her alone. If it gets tough, she'll figure out a way to die on her own. Just as he finishes talking, a mark spreads across his chest and onto his face. This surprises him. He calls out to his friend, asking him to find out which devil the girl made a deal with. Soo-yeon can't understand his friend's change of mind since he acted disinterested just now. Hwamyung denies the idea that he cares, saying he just wants to check something. The two men soon leave the scene. Behind them, the man stuck on the window is gone. Dokyung is walking on the bridge. Looking at the water and the city beyond it, she stops to admire the view. Taking in the beautiful sight, she remembers the lucky demon's words to her. Just as he said, it only took 1 year. 1 year for her to lose everything. Placing her hand on her chin, Dokyung wonders if she will really have to end up on the streets begging and struggling to survive. Yelling out into the water about how pissed she is, she wonders what she did to deserve this. "You screwed up," someone says from behind her. Dokyung is terrified. Turning around, it is the train killer. He grasps her neck, yelling at her for screwing everything up. If she hadn't ignored him first, this wouldn't have happened to him, is what he thinks. He pulls off his mask to show her his ruined face and wants to know if he looked that funny to her. Choking, Dokyung asks him why he is coming after her. The one who damaged his face was the devil, not her. The man laughs. He can't beat Hwamyung, therefore he can only come after her to relieve his anger. Anyway, he also finds her noisy so she can just hurry up and die. With that said, he shoves her over the bridge. Flailing in the air, Dokyung watches the killer laugh. Just as despair is about to consume her, a figure comes into her view. Hwamyung jumps over the guardrail after her. His wings bloom under the night sky as he flies down to catch her. Hope fills Dokyung as she looks up at him. Grabbing her around the waist, Hwamyung shields her in his arms. Just before they fall into the water, he leans closer to whisper into her ears, "Your contract. I will destroy it." Under the sparkling moon, 3 figures are moving around. Soo-hyun is holding on to Dokyung with one hand and dragging Hwamyung across the floor by his foot with his other hand, helping them out of the water. While pulling Hwamyung across the sand, he scolds him. Why would he jump into the river to save someone if he can't swim? What is the purpose of his wings if he is going to end up like this either way? Being pulled roughly on the floor, only one thought fills Hwamyung's mind. "Make a contract with me," he keeps mumbling. Soo-hyun brings Dokyung to the shore where a group of paramedics are already waiting. He places Dokyung on a stretcher and asks the medics to take care of her first. Wiping the water off his face, he wonders who Hwamyung is trying to make a contract with, since his last contract was terminated 100 years ago. He hears Hwamyung mumbling behind him, begging someone not to die. Sighing, he groans. He can't understand what his friend is thinking about. The few of them are piled into a van and taken away. Inside a luxurious mansion, Hwamyung is lying on the floor with both hands crossed over his chest. Suddenly, he wakes up with a start. Panting heavily, he takes a look at his surroundings and immediately jumps 10 feet in the air, screaming in shock. Can someone please explain to him why Dokyung is lying on his bed in pajamas? Because of his hasty jump, a vase is knocked off the shelf and comes flying at the sleeping Dokyung. Just as it is about to land on her face, a hand reaches out to grab it. Sighing, Soo-hyun catches the vase, telling Hwamyung that this is exactly why he always asked him to get a bed. He wants to know if it makes sense to Hwamyung to only have one bed in a mansion as large as this. His friend, however, doesn't respond as he is having a mental breakdown squatting on the floor. Soo-hyun isn't done scolding him and tells him to please clean up his room. Looking at the messy room, it is Soo-hyun's turn to have a breakdown. Hwamyung is surprised by the fact that he is supposed to clean. He thought the room would automatically clean itself when he leaves. The poor Soo-hyun almost explodes in anger. He can't believe Hwamyung is serious. Is this a magical world? How would a room clean itself? If Hwamyung wants him to clean, then he should be ready to give him a raise. Hwamyung still believes that everything should fall into place in the human world. He collects the vase from Soo-hyun and examines it. Pointing at the single flower blooming, he explains to Soo-hyun that this is the reason why he saved that human. Soo-hyun bursts his bubble and plainly states that he saved the 2 of them. Hwamyung isn't concerned with who did the saving, saying it doesn't matter. What matters is the berry blooming on the flower. Dokyung is facing the battle of her life. Armed with her fists, she righteously faces the 2 evil men who dragged her off to the middle of nowhere, demanding they confess. The 2 men are amused by her display. Soo-hyun smiles gently as he explains that she is in a mansion in a private estate in Seoul and begs her to calm down. Hwamyung's focus isn't on that. Instead, he wants to know if Dokyung gave her luck out to the lucky devil. Dokyung is surprised that he knows and wonders if they have a devil's group chat or something. Soo-hyun declares that he is the one who does that. Proudly, he reveals his rich resume. He investigates, finds out, rummages through, and even cleans. Stepping forward, Hwamyung tells Dokyung he can restore her luck if only she signs a contract with him. Dokyung is unwilling. Looking at Hwamyung, she scolds him for still trying to trick her into a contract, asking if his type of demon is an ugly devil. Her words pierce through Hwamyung, leaving him stunned. Closing his eyes tightly, he nervously explains that he is a devil who feeds on disillusionment. She won't have anything to lose if she signs a contract with him. All she needs to do is transfer her feelings of disillusionment into the plant he is holding, and the berries on it would grow, which he would take care of. He goes on to tell Dokyung how lucky she is as he doesn't sign contracts with humans because he thinks they are annoying. However, he finds Dokyung to be a special case. It usually takes a human a year to make such a flower bloom, but she did it in just a day. He opens his eyes expecting to see Dokyung listening attentively to him, but what he sees is emptiness and Soo-yoon's happy face as he sweeps. Stunned, he asks where she is. Soo-yoon replies that she didn't listen to a word Hwamyung was saying and left long ago. Outside, Dokyung is struggling to get out of this place. She tries to push her way through the garden, but the plants are too many and thick. "Why is there no way out of here?" she complains. Just as she says this, a pair of hands grab her under the armpit and lift her up. Dokyung is prepared to scold him, but he attacks her first, accusing her of entering into and stepping on his crops. Dokyung insists they are just weeds, not crops. Hwamyung mumbles that it was a plant he raised with his blood and sweat for years, and calls Dokyung mean. However, as they fly above the garden, Hwamyung is shocked to see all the flowers start to bloom. In a crowded corner on the streets of Seoul, a young man in a white hoodie is busy offering tickets. Two young men stop to collect the paper and open it to see pictures of a devil and an invitation to sign a contract. The young men are amazed, thinking it is a new concept. They decide to apply since it is free, and they would get an extra free perfume. Having gotten their perfume, the two men leave happily, while the man in white, the lucky devil, also waves them off, beaming. He goes back, exclaiming at how many contracts he signed today. People must really like perfume. Counting, he signed on 17 people. A news broadcast is playing on the internet. At 3 p.m. this afternoon, a 5-story building collapsed at a university festival site. Relevant authorities are investigating the exact cause of the accident at the scene. At the scene of the accident, a rescue team member spots someone under the rumble and calls for help. Hurriedly, they pull him out, and it turns out to be the lucky devil. He opens his eyes and sits up calmly. The team member cannot relax, eager to know if the young boy is all right. "How many people died?" is the first thing the boy says. The paramedic is stunned. The boy repeats his questions, wanting to know how many people the news reported dead. Checking his phone, the medic replies, 17 people. The young boy smirks and stands up, causing the medics to shift backward fearfully. He doesn't pay them any attention and begins to walk away. Those people are really unlucky. He smiles happily. In a dark, creepy apartment. The lucky devil laughs. Something must always go wrong, he mutters as he holds on to his injured legs. The news on the TV announces the death of 17 people that died in the building collapse. Smiling, he is happy that the results are what he expected. However, why couldn't he take the unused luck of the dead people there? Leaning forward, he puts his hand on his chin as he thinks. The dead people definitely didn't use it while he had to use a lot of his own luck to get out of the accident without serious injuries. Sighing, he lays down on the bed trying to find reasons for this. His mind goes to the contract he signed over a year ago. I can't have possibly used up all her luck in just a year, he thinks. The contract must still be valid. Taking up his phone, he starts to type a message. The person he made the contract with is none other than our female lead. He types a message asking to come see her. After sending the message, he wonders if it would be better to call her. Anyways, she can't be mad at him for calling so late. After all, I am pretty lucky. He laughs happily. Dokyung is having a terrible day, so much that she doesn't even notice the lucky devil's text. She is standing in work clothes near the counter and looking at her boss outside through a hole, caused by a car driving straight into their cafe and catching fire. She has just gotten this new job, but things have already turned into a disaster. Leaving the cafe, the now jobless Dokyung sits on a bench near the walkway. She thinks of everything that has happened, concluding that she must definitely not even have a stroke of luck left. Frustrated, she throws away her apron and cap. She refused to give up. There must be some way she can make a living. For how long will I keep living such a strange life? She thinks out loud. Do I really have to die for it to end, or will the curse only stop when I die starving without any money? She is so lost in thoughts that she doesn't notice footsteps approaching her until her voice comes from above her. Yes, that's right. The intruder laughs happily. Looking up at him, Dokyung is stunned. At first, she has no idea who he is until he asks her, Dokyung, how have you been? That voice. At that moment, she remembers. The demon who cursed her to live in terrible misfortune. It's him. She stands up angrily, asking the demon why he is here. He laughs as he tells her he wanted to come visit the person he made a contract with on his own. And also, the lucky devil pulls out a knife from his jacket and tosses it at her feet. You've been enduring all this time on your own, he tells her. I have to make sure every person who makes a contract with me dies in sorrow. That way, my luck will remain. He turns away from her and starts to leave. So why don't you die already since I came all the way here? He mutters cruelly. Dokyung isn't moved by his words. Give me back my luck, she tells the demon. Stopping midway through his stretch, he looks back at her, asking her to repeat herself. Dokyung tells him she knows she can get back her luck if she terminates her contract with him, therefore she's asking him to give her back her luck. The lucky devil laughs and grabs the knife, stuffing it into her hands. He mocks her for not even being able to do that. He pushes her away from him, mumbling about what a shame she is. Walking away, he informs her that either way, she can't even use the knife to get out of her miserable misfortune, because no matter what she does, she won't be able to kill him. Those words move Dokyung. Indeed, even in front of this opportunity in the form of a knife, she can't see a way out. However, she remembers the face of someone dear to her, asking her not to die. Therefore, she grips the knife tightly and rushes up to the lucky devil, shoving the knife into his back. Hwamyung has shown up at the scene. Choking the luck devil, he lifts him up. He turns to Dokyung and asks her for the last time, if she can get her luck back, will she sign a contract with him? On the bridge above them, a truck driver is riding peacefully when something is blown into his path. Distracted, the item hits his windscreen and in fright, he steers the truck through the guardrail. It breaks through and comes falling, right above Hwamyung's head. It crushes him, leaving a smiling lucky devil to smirk down at him. The scene shifts to 2 days ago. Hwamyung is lying on what looks like a hospital bed with an oxygen gas, inhaling a type of glass. After spending several minutes there, he takes the mask off and exhales some fire. Watching him while dusting the closet, Soo-yeon comments that the symptoms have gotten worse. He asks Hwamyung if this is just his imagination, but Hwamyung laughs. Maybe it is finally his time to die, he jokes. Even his medicines don't work on him anymore. Sighing, he is frustrated about dying. Holding the feather duster, Soo-yeon asks about the berries that appeared due to Dokyung. He found out that those berries could suppress Hwamyung's symptoms. Hwamyung doesn't even know the name of the woman he was chasing to sign a contract with him. Her full name is Kim Dokyung, Soo-yeon tells him. Hwamyung sighs. All the berries she produced withered as soon as she left the house as such. He has no cure. Soo-yeon sighs in disappointment. In a bid to lighten the mood, he jokes that his boss can just sign the contract with him, since he always has feelings of despair while cleaning the mansion. Hwamyung asks him not to worry and wants to know if he has found out the name of the demon that made a contract with Dokyung. Soo-hyun said he did after his boss asked him to investigate a bit more. He hands Hwamyung his phone where the news of 17 people dying in a building collapse is displayed. Soo-hyun is sure it is the work of the demon. Hwamyung is surprised. Looking at it, this must be the work of a skilled demon, so why hasn't he heard from him before? That's probably because you're an outcast who is banished from hell. You don't have any friends, and you spend most of your time lying in bed at home. Soo-yeon exposes his boss mercilessly. Annoyed, Hwamyung tosses his phone back to him. With a whatever, he walks off. To him, all he needs to do is get rid of the demon, then he can sign a contract with her. He asks for the name, but Soo-yeon doesn't know. He couldn't find out the name of the demon's human persona. Hwamyung, however, isn't talking about the demon, but about the female lead. He asks for her name. Soo-hyun is amazed at his boss's level of forgetfulness, but has no choice but to repeat her name. It's Dokyung. Kim Dokyung. Back at the scene of the accident, the truck has fallen on Hwamyung. Several people gather around in shock and fear. The luck demon thinks the fight is over and stands up dusting his clothes. However, a sound comes from behind him. He turns around to see Hwamyung looking bruised and bleeding, but still dragging the truck driver out with him. He calls out Kim Dokyung's name. Our female lead wants to run to him, but Soo-yeon stops her. She tells him Hwamyung is bleeding, but Soo-yeon warns her not to go closer. Hwamyung squats down and promises her he'll be fine. However, he reminds her of her promise to think about signing a contract with him after, and she shouldn't forget about it. Looking at him, Kim Dokyung is speechless. She mutters to Soo-hyun that our male lead must have hit his head too badly. The lucky devil doesn't take Hwamyung seriously, however. He watches the despair devil as he spreads his wings and flies into the air, ready to launch an attack on him. As Hwamyung approaches, he reaches out and grabs his throat. Looking at Hwamyung's battered state, he tells him he won't need to use luck but is fully able to win against him. With that, he slams our male lead to the ground. Seeing him lying on the floor, the luck demon mocks him, saying he was expecting so much more from a demon as famous as him. But at the end of the day, he is just a pathetic piece of scum. Lying on the floor bleeding, the marks around Hwamyung's chest begin to spread to his face. Seeing this, Soo-hyun apologizes to Dokyung and grabs her hand, quickly handcuffing her. He chains her to the post behind. Dokyung is stunned and confused. Pulling at the handcuff, she asks Soo-hyun what this is and what he is up to now. Soo-hyun doesn't answer and quickly handcuffs himself too. On the floor, Hwamyung's face has been darkened by the marks until half his face turns black. The luck demon who is just about to leave turns back when he feels something strange behind him. He almost has a panic attack when he sees the glowing light surrounding Hwamyung's body. Wisps of black smoke start to surround them all. Soo-hyun hastily chains himself to the post while explaining to Dokyung that the medicine used to suppress Hwamyung has run out. If this happens, everyone around here will fall into a state called collective despair. Dokyung still doesn't understand the need for them to be handcuffed. The lucky demon is in the midst of the black smoke. Looking at Hwamyung on the floor, he is speechless. He wonders if the other demon had his power sealed away before. Staring into the light, he falls on his knees. Inside, he is terrified. What kind of ability does Hwamyung have that controls him? Against his will, the lucky demon grabs a piece of glass tightly in his hands. Even though his hand is bleeding, he doesn't let go. Behind him, Soo-hyun tries to explain to Dokyung what the ability does. The ability happening now only appears when Hwamyung loses control. When that happens, even the slightest feeling of hopelessness you might have felt begins to amplify in this shadow. Due to feelings of despair that can't be controlled or reserved, they become overwhelmed with a sense of hopelessness and soon reach a stage of absolute futility, which in the worst-case scenario makes them want to commit suicide. The lucky demon is experiencing this. The piece of glass in his hand is now pressed against his stomach. His mind knows this is dangerous, but his body doesn't follow his will. Suddenly, Hwamyung's darkened body rises up and more waves of despair flow out. The luck demon is soon overwhelmed and presses the glass through his stomach until it flies out from behind. On the post, Dokyung and Soo-hyun have both fallen under the wave of despair. However, lying on the floor, Dokyung hears a voice telling her not to die. Her friend's face comes into view, begging her to survive. With this, Dokyung opens her eyes. She is stunned when she looks up and sees everyone on the floor and Hwamyung flying while surrounded by wisps of black smoke. Dokyung, someone whispers. She turns to see Soo-hyun whispering. He tells her the key to the handcuff is in his socks. Dokyung is disgusted, wondering why he put it in his socks. Soo-hyun begs her to please talk to Hwamyung. With no choice, Dokyung takes the key out and uncuffs herself. Soo-yeon tells her it was for his own safety and thanks her. Dokyung has released herself and looks in Hwamyung's direction. She approaches him thinking of how the demons have made a mess among themselves. She passes by the lucky devil who is still groaning on the floor and goes up to Hwamyung. Looking at his chest where the darkness is swirling, she doesn't have any idea how she should stop it. She decides to just take a guess and reaches out to place a hand on his chest. Immediately, she touches the darkness. She is taken into another place. She is standing among a garden of flowers with Hwamyung in the distance. This is how he found her. Looking at her place her suitcase down in his large living room, he finds her story clear now. Dokyung, however, is bothered by him calling her Kim Dogyum and wants to know just when he is going to stop and if he is doing it on purpose. Hwamyung is genuinely shocked as he really believes that's her name, causing Dokyung to almost explode in anger. She warns him, pointing a finger to his chest, that her name is Dokyung, not Gyum. Hwamyung panics and hastily agrees. He, however, wants to know her reasons for staying in his house. Dokyung is surprised as she thought Soo-yeon would have already told him anything. Hwamyung reveals he hasn't heard anything about her moving in. Soo-hyun, who is busy helping Dokyung move her belongings, explains that Hwamyung has been unconscious for 2 days, so he could not discuss with him. However, the whole story is, Dokyung will now be working with them from now on. Hwamyung is confused. Work? He asks. Dokyung agrees with Soo-yeon. Since she didn't want to terminate her contract by killing someone, she thought of an alternative. Hwamyung interrupts her, explaining that that would be a problem, because for him to sign a contract with her, the lucky devil would have to die. Dokyung doesn't want to go with that method and has instead found an alternative where they can both win. Since the reason Hwamyung is proposing this contract is to ultimately harvest the fruits of her disillusionment wherever she may be, if she stays here and bears the fruit, then there would be no need for a contract. Hwamyung refuses as he knows she wouldn't be staying here forever and he doesn't believe she will stick around for no reason. Dokyung informs him that she naturally has demands, and if he can fulfill them, she might consider staying in his mansion for life. Hwamyung is shocked and wants to know her demands. For Dokyung, it is simple. She couldn't land a proper job due to her bad luck, so therefore all she needs is job security, a steady paycheck, and a house to live in. That is all she wants. In her excitement, she grabs Hwamyung. Unable to look at her, Hwamyung covers his face and asks her to state her demands clearly. Dokyung tells him to provide a job that can last her a lifetime. She provides the fruit and he will provide the salary. Dokyung is clearly pleased with this idea as she feels it is a win-win situation for both of them. Hwamyung takes a moment to think before he finally gives in. How much salary do you want? Dokyung has settled down and is having a cup of hot tea. Behind her, Soo-yeon is cleaning and asks her how she finds the room and if it is nice enough. Dokyung takes a sip of her tea as she explains that it is not just nice. She has never even been in a room as big as this before. After all, it isn't easy to see such a huge mansion in the city. Soo-yeon, ever the efficient housekeeper, moves on to clean the windows as he informs Dokyung that although the house is uphill, the village bus still runs up here. It is definitely better than the boarding house she said she was living in before. Dokyung, however, still isn't comfortable with the idea of living in the same house as a devil. She still can't trust any devil. Soo-yeon reassures her and tells her to just think of it as making use of Hwamyung. Even if they spent some of his wealth, it wouldn't be noticeable. He has no idea how, but Hwamyung is a very wealthy person. And besides, Soo-yeon knows she has a purpose. That day, after stopping Hwamyung, she had asked Soo-yeon how to become a devil while uncuffing him, since it was another way to break the contract. Soo-yeon explained to her that it is impossible for a human to become a devil, as devils were born through stigma from hell. However, he had heard of receiving abilities of a devil through transfer. Dokyung was shocked. Could a human actually gain a devil's abilities? Soo-yeon assured her it was possible, and if it happens, the human will also receive the title the devil once had. It is almost like becoming an honorary devil. Looking at her, that should be enough to break her contract. Dokyung then handed him his key, telling him not to put it in his socks next time. Back to the present, Dokyung's isn't sure if it is something she can do. Soo-yeon assures her it is definitely possible. Before now, Hwamyung's power has been uncontrollable by anyone. Due to that, his power was sealed inside the tattoo given to him by the scarred devil as a temporary measure. Even with that, whenever his power goes berserk, they can only wait for him to calm down on his own. But look at what she did. Dokyung managed to effortlessly end the collective state of despair by temporarily absorbing Hwamyung's power. It would probably be easy for her to strip him of his abilities. To Dokyung, however, all she did was knock out the dancing demon in her dreams. Soo-yoon is done with cleaning and tells Dokyung she can now sleep here. Dokyung wants to know what will happen to the devil if his ability is taken away from him. Smiling, Soo-yoon says he doesn't know the details, but it probably wouldn't end well. Dokyung doesn't understand why he is helping her then. He seems plenty close with Hwamyung, so why is he okay with this? She wants to know if she can trust him. Looking back at her, Soo-yoon smiles. This is a secret he has hidden from Hwamyung, but he hates the devils just as much as Dokyung does. Looking at the outfit handed to her, Dokyung is horrified. "What is this?" she asks Hwamyung. He replies that it is her work clothes. He invites her to the table to have breakfast so they can start working hard from today. Staring at the table full of dishes in front of her, Dokyung can't stop drooling. She wants to know if their breakfast is always this good, and Hwamyung agrees that it is. They certainly have good employees' benefits. Happy, Dokyung takes a seat as she says she is now relieved since she was worried about how much delivery fees to such a remote area would be. Coming out from the bathroom, Soo-yoon is shocked to see the table of food. As he admires it, he asks what today is as this is the first time he is seeing this in his life. Having been exposed, Hwamyung angrily urges Soo-hyun to take a seat so he can help with harvesting. Turning to Dokyung, he also warns her this is how they will eat breakfast from now on, however it still isn't a given. With a thud, he places a glass jar on the table right in front of her. He explains that this is the daily quota, and they must harvest as much as this one bottle of red fruits a day. Looking at the bottle, Dokyung wonders if it will even be enough. She felt like it would be more. Walking away, Hwamyung warns her it's probably not going to be easy. Anyways, once she tries it, she'll know. Looking at him leaving, Dokyung calls out to him asking where he is going without eating. Hwamyung calmly responds that he doesn't eat rice and with the spread of his wings takes flight, only to end up above their heads, hanging upside down like a bat. Frustrated, Dokyung asks him to leave if he isn't going to eat and find somewhere else to stay. Our despised male lead can only fly off in dejection. It is work time in our male lead's mansion. Looking at the garden in front of him, Soo-yoon complains that half of it has turned to weeds because they didn't manage it. Standing up, he stretches his back, then calls out to Dokyung asking if she is doing okay. Our female lead, however, is in a dilemma. Looking at the flowers in front of her, she finds it strange. The first time she could bear fruits just by walking past them. Why, however, was it not working this time around? Soo-yoon comes up and he too is surprised it isn't working. The fruits are hardly forming like before, instead just a few blooms. After harvesting it off the tree, it immediately withers in her hands. Soo-yoon is shocked, asking her if this means her sense of disillusionment has been diminished. Dokyung is stunned. Soo-hyun explains to her that compared to back then, her unstable employment situation has been solved, and she now has a place to stay also. Thinking of her previous bad experiences, Dokyung admits that she has indeed been liberated from them. However, is it because of this she can't bear fruits even though her bad luck hasn't disappeared yet? Soo-yoon encourages her. Just making it bear fruit is already amazing. All she needs to do is to manage her emotions well, and she would be able to harvest them. Staring at her hands, Soo-yoon notices she didn't bring gloves. Dokyung explains that the gloves are uncomfortable. Smiling, Soo-yoon says he might have forgotten to tell her, but these plants have thorns and she might end up being pricked. It will hurt and she will get poisoned. He hasn't even finished his statement when Dokyung holds up her finger, complaining that she was pricked. That is when she hears the end of his sentence, and the two of them immediately start panicking. She yells at him for only just telling her something important like that. Carrying her, Soo-yoon begins to run back to the mansion. Before he goes far, however, the person in his arms is lifted off him, and a voice tells him to stop making a fuss. Looking into the sky, Hwamyung is flying away with Dokyung in his arms. Landing at the mansion, Dokyung can barely stand. She wobbles as she asks fearfully if she is going to die. Hwamyung assures her she will if she leaves the injury like this. Blowing onto her wounds, Hwamyung slowly heals her injuries. Dokyung is stunned and asks if she will be okay with just this without going to the hospital. Hwamyung says she will be fine as the hospital can't even treat it either way. Withdrawing her hand from his grasp, she wants to know what she can do as she doesn't want to die. Hwamyung explains that he has patched her up for now so she won't die immediately. Dokyung is angered by this response. He has patched her up for now. Doesn't that mean she is still going to die anyway? Grabbing his clothes, she shakes him as she demands he tell her when exactly she is going to die. Hwamyung decides to tease her and explains that in 2 hours, black spots will cover her body, signaling the start of decay. This smell will then draw hell's maggots to her, causing them to cling to her body and painfully devour her flesh until only her bones are left. Hwamyung is clearly having fun teasing her as he tells her the hell maggots are very terrifying to look at and would make anyone panic. Dokyung is about to cry as she scolds him for failing to give her gloves when he knows it is dangerous. She curses him for being so insane. Hwamyung gently takes her hands off his shirt and with his hands in his pockets, walks away asking her to follow him. He opens the door to the mansion and enters inside, but Dokyung doesn't follow. He teases her asking if she just wants to die like that. Left with no choice, Dokyung steps inside. She is about to take off her coat, but Hwamyung stops her and tells her to leave it on. He hands her a big bowl instead. Looking at the bowl, Dokyung is confused. She sees Hwamyung leaving and hastily follows him down the basement. Walking down the stairs, she asks him what they are doing in the basement and if he is taking her there in order to use her as bait to kill all the rats and birds. Frowning at her, he chides her for saying something like that, asking if he looks like such a jerk to her. Dokyung isn't regretful at all and says it is a given after all. How can he be nice when all he thinks about is how to kill people? Hwamyung is speechless. Dokyung is sure the prison has already spread all through her body, and at this point she has become useless. Smirking, Hwamyung keeps repeating the word useless as he opens the door to a secret room. Dokyung walks inside, but what she sees completely shocks her. Can someone tell her why there is a waterfall inside a mansion? Looking at the mountains and trees, Dokyung is confused. She is about to ask Hwamyung what is going on when she sees him stripping his clothes off happily. Shocked, she stares as he jumps down into the river. She peers over the edge, looking at him happily swimming. He reminds her about the basket, and she quickly uses it to scoop up some water. Hwamyung dives under, leaving Dokyung to stare around in amazement. She can't understand where this is. She is pretty sure they came underground, but why has the sky changed from day to night? Plus, the color of the moon is strange. Suddenly, she gasps in shock. There is a strange man on top of the hills looking down at her. His red eyes glow in the dark and his hair flutters. Dokyung is so afraid. Suddenly, Hwamyung comes back up complaining about how he almost died. He asks Dokyung what she is looking at, and she tells him it feels like there is someone else around here. Hwamyung, however, waves it off as a hallucination as he believes no one can come in here. Dokyung panics at the word hallucination, and Hwamyung explains it is also one of the symptoms of poisoning. She will continue to hallucinate until she is cured, so it is nothing for her to worry about. Holding the bowl, Dokyung isn't sure, though. It was her first time seeing this stranger. If it was a hallucination, the images she would see should be from her head. She tells Hwamyung that the man was so unusual that if you ever see him, he wouldn't be forgettable. Hwamyung wants to know what the man looked like, so Dokyung describes him. He has long white hair and red eyes. Hearing this description, Hwamyung pauses. Dokyung wants to know if he knows this person, but he denies saying a lot of people have long white hair. Once they exit the basement, Hwamyung sets about mixing things up in a small bowl. Dokyung is watching him from behind and can't help but question what he is doing. He explains he is making an antidote and places the mixture in the oven. Dokyung repeats the words he said to her about her body decaying in 2 hours, and she thinks there is not much time left. She is in the midst of talking when she sees him holding some bread and can't help but comment on this. Hwamyung assures her not to worry. He won't let the worker he tried so hard to save die. Picking up what was brought from the water, it turns out to be a spider. He places it on top of the bread and warns her the antidote might be a bit tasteless, making it hard to eat. Dokyung is touched that he made it into some cake for her, just so it would be easier for her to eat. Handing the plate over to her, he asks her if he still seems like a jerk who only wants to kill people. Looking at the cake with the large spider on it, Dokyung isn't so touched anymore. Pointing at it, she stutters and tells him there's something with multiple feet on the cake. Hwamyung is proud of himself, asking her if it looks delicious. It is the key ingredient, and he managed to get it from the smuggler in hell. He reminds her it might be a bit bitter, so it'll be better for her to eat it with the cake he made. Picking up the plate and turning the spider over, Dokyung mutters that the cake isn't the problem. Smiling, Hwamyung tells her to listen carefully. From now on, she will die a natural death, meaning for as long as he is alive, she will never die. He will live longer than her, so she can't die either. Dokyung can't understand what he is saying. Hwamyung blushes a little as he tells her to stay with him and not go anywhere, and just like he did on the subway, he will swallow up all her bad luck for her up until she reaches the end of her life and dies a natural death. Looking at him, Dokyung is touched, but she can't understand why he will help her. Coughing awkwardly, Hwamyung says it is because she is useful to him. Dokyung wants to know why Hwamyung will go this far for her. He assures her it is because she is useful to him. Dokyung, however, asks if her usefulness is the ability to bear fruit because she tried it today, and it didn't work out well. Our male lead loses his hot aura and returns back to his dorky self. Leaning on the table, he tells her he already knew it wouldn't be easy to fill even a single glass bottle, as she can't be feeling those emotions 24/7. It is the same for the sense of disillusionment. It wouldn't be around her every time. Dokyung wants to know if she loses her usefulness and can't bear fruit any longer, would he still protect her from her misfortune, just as he said earlier? Flipping over a watch to look at the time, he calmly tells her bearing fruit isn't her only purpose to him. Dokyung is confused, but our male lead stands up. He reminds her they are running out of time, so she should eat first and they'll talk later. With that, he grabs the cake and shoves it into her mouth. Outside the house, Soo-yeon picks up Dokyung's hat and dusts it off for her. He feels something and looks to the side where a tall black man is standing among the flowers. Dressed in a suit with a stack of cards in his hands, he just stares at Soo-yeon. At alert, Soo-yeon draws out the harvesting knife he was making use of previously. The man still doesn't move and only looks at Soo-yeon and looks back at the card as if confirming his face. Soo-yeon is about to ask who he is when the man flies away. Watching him, Soo-yeon is alarmed. This is clearly a devil. Running towards the house, he chases after the shadow. It flies over the mansion to the other side, and Soo-yeon chases him. Not stopping, he drops Dokyung's hat on her head while running outside. The two still feeding each other cake are stunned. They stare at him and follow him outside. Rushing out, Soo-yeon can't find the man any longer. The sky is empty of any flying figure no matter how hard he searches. Watching him look around, Hwamyung calls out to him, asking what is wrong. Turning around, Soo-yeon asks him if he invited a friend over to the house. Looking at Hwamyung's confused face at the mention of the word friend, he is sure he wasn't the one who invited the strange man. After all, Hwamyung is an outcast. Where would his friends come from? Hwamyung, who has no idea he has been labeled an outcast, wants to know what Soo-yeon saw. Suddenly, they see a man at the gate. Soo-yeon immediately draws his knife, ready to attack. The man at the gate turns out to be a delivery man. Looking at Soo-yeon's knife, he starts trembling as he announces they have a package. Seeing that the man is innocent, Soo-yeon drops his knife. He apologizes to the man, explaining he was startled. Walking over, Hwamyung is surprised they would get a package, as such things do not arrive at the mansion. He grabs the package and knocks it against Dokyung's head, announcing it is for her. Dokyung is also puzzled as she hasn't informed anyone of her move yet, so how would they know where she lives? As she opens the package, Hwamyung goes behind her to gossip with Soo-yeon. He asks him about the lucky devil, who we find out is called Woo-hyuk. Finally, his name. He wants to know what happened to him after that day. Soo-yeon replies that the lucky devil disappeared somewhere in pain as he had a fatal injury on his abdomen. Placing a hand on his chin, Hwamyung shares with Soo-yeon that he thinks the lucky devil is the one who sent Dokyung the package. Coming up behind Dokyung, Hwamyung asks if he is right. After all, the package came to her. Dokyung tears open the package and pulls out a lottery ticket. Staring at the ticket in horror, fear consumes her. Noticing that something is wrong, the two men rush up to her, asking, "What is wrong?" Enjoying this so far? Please comment below for part 2. Also, like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, ciao!